Hey CJ, good morning. Hey, I'm just going to run through this really quick, but I wanted to give you an audio and visual so you can kind of see where I'm leading towards on the presentation. So I shared with you that it's Ryan Morris from the Arkansas for Prosperity, and he seemed at the conference to make some statements, but he thought there was possibility to find funding for it. And he's connected with the Charles Koch Foundation and Stand Together Foundation is kind of what's of interest to me too. So let me make this quick. So I'm just going to give the highlights, not all the stuff that might go around it. So Zuni Learning Tree, today we want to talk about having a bold new vision. And as we dive into that bold new vision, let's hear my computer maybe going slow. Get my PowerPoint to move. Hold on. Record the PowerPoint. Okay. So first, let's hear from some kids, and then I have a little quick video from some users. And before we go into this conversation, let's really kind of think about who it is we're focusing on and why it is we feel Zuni is powerful. So these are testimonials from kids and teachers and parents about some different things. Then we'll go into, we love Einstein and his famous quote, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And, is there a place in education where maybe we do some of that and sometimes we all feel a little insane about it? There's one thing that we really have no control over, but we've been doing it the same forever, and that's our structured days where maybe it's 6 hours of instructional time if we're lucky, and maybe average of 170 days a year. And previously it was always in the classroom, but since the pandemic we have both classroom and virtual, but we're still delivering the same kind of assignments whether we're in the class or whether we're giving it through an LMS. And then we take a look at content and how the content that we're all supposed to be learning through and with comes has traditionally gone from publishers creating it, districts spending millions of dollars to purchase it, teachers being required to teach it, and students being required to learn it and being assessed against it. And that's really kind of what we called education. And this educational content has really been that foundation of what we've done with it. And so we've done this over and over for decades, and we're getting the same results over and over for decades. So as this data shows from ACT research, is that we're still continuing with low math and reading scores over the past several decades, disengaged students, we have frustrated parents and educators, and all of this is leading to workforce hiring challenges. And oftentimes we find because the students aren't successful in education, we have higher crime rates, we have higher drug addiction rates, and a lot of other things going on because our youth and adults, we all need to feel purpose and value, and somehow there's a disconnect between what's happening in the classrooms, how we extend it out into life. So Zuni, we're focused on opening the floodgates to learning. And what does that really mean? How do you open the floodgates to learning? Well, today with technology, the internet is exploding with millions of educational resources. They're free, they're open. Foundations around the world have paid great groups to create great content. The challenge is there's millions of them and they're everywhere. So we want to harness the power of those valuable resources by having educators curate them, vet them. We put them into Zuni's organized platform that's customizable so that we can continue the evolution of the content that goes into it. And we also have data and analytics because we also need to find out which ones are having the biggest impact for which types of learners. So when you bring OERs, you not only have more content, but you have content of more variety that can help to address different types of learning styles. And we also have that down here at the bottom. Not only do we have to learn, this education now has to take place during the classroom setting time of that, 6 hours a day, 170 days a year. Now we can actually, with technology, open those floodgates of learning to 365 days a year, 24/7. That's huge. It's revolutionary for us to put resources at the fingertips of students and families. What kind of impact can we have from that? We can see increased academic outcomes, increased community and family engagement opportunities. We can help to build that stronger workforce. But even some of the underlying things that we don't talk about as much but are super important in the whole SEL part of things is we can increase understanding about kids about the world they live in. And we can also help kids to become caring and compassionate citizens. If we don't do something different now, when are we? The pandemic has made it so clear, acutely aware of the need to put resources in front of families and students as well. We've got to do this now. The pandemic has shown gaps and challenges academically as well. So our ask today, why are we here today, is we want to know if you can assist us in bringing Zuni to students and families as a community effort that supports and wraps around the educational system. And maybe from this day, we can continue the conversations, and maybe there are other people we need to bring to the table and hear their thoughts and ideas of how could something like this happen, and to share some information with you about what's currently been going on with Zuni. So we have users, we have 35,000 nationwide. We partner with a company called Virtual Technologies, which is the interactive touchscreen panels that everybody saw at the conference, for their software, for their hardware. So they're helping us build brand awareness outside of here. In Arkansas, there was a great grant opportunity that just went through for after-school programs, and we're going to be working with 5 Boys and Girls Clubs. They got both the boards, and Zuni and Professional Development. We're working with Life Skills for Youth and the Brandon House after-school programs, and we're doing some great work with one of Coach Clark at LSY's parent group. We're going to be getting that activated next month. We're in a West Wind charter school and a Methodist residential, and the teacher at Methodist residential, he's been using Zuni for a couple years, and he just swears by it. In our research, we have worked with more districts across the state. When we talked back about, we actually started with North Little Rock School District, which is Rosie Coleman was the first one to have the foresight to see it, and at that time we were actually just building smart notebooks. So we had the same premise of trying to pull things together, and we evolved into an online learning platform, and their teachers loved it. Great stories from kids in that program. But what happened was when she retired, there was great conflict between her and the incoming people that took on leadership roles. And because Rosie was a proponent of Zuni, they didn't want to have anything to do with it, regardless of the impact. That is what we have to try to circumvent. That is what we have to get around. That's why we ask that we bring in a community effort so that we can sustain it, and that it doesn't depend on personalities and likes and dislikes of those coming in, but instead, if we have tools and resources that are impacting education, they just stay in front of the kids for the life of their K-12 education. We've done extensive research, so we have always been, we build according to what's called Agile Development, which means you're constantly iterating with the users you work with. Sorry about my dog barking. And so I'm going to go into some stuff about that. Anyways, we'll go through all the different. And then about collaborations, about AD digital learning for professional development. So we'll do some stuff on that slide, and then we'll just go on to the next. So some big ideas. So of course, in order to hit Zuni's mission of providing equal access to quality educational resources, we think a great starting point is building a state implementation. We can do it in steps, not just all at once. We can start by working maybe with Bright Futures, and Bright Futures, I don't know if you want to say anything about Reform Alliance, since we're talking to Ryan now, but is in 18 communities, and Bright Futures is doing some great work with the homeless division at ADE, and we're working with them as well. And Little Rock via community engagement, and then the after-school program, and so we can roll out between now and summer into the after-school and summer programs, working with ADE's group as well. And then the fall, that would allow us to get any bugs and kinks worked out. And then the fall of 2022, we can roll out to elementary schools across the state. And the fall of 2023, we can roll out to middle and high schools. And in 2 to 3 years, we'd have a national presence of being the trusted go-to educational platform where educators, students, and families can go to all be inspired to dream, learn, grow, and do together. How can we sustain something like that? So maybe we do get the foundations or some funders to be able to provide this funding for a 3-year implementation to allow us to really onboard and show the impact. We can do it through sponsorship, because when we show the impact and we show that we have a number of users, we should be able to easily find that the organizations, corporate, foundations, and even local communities, because when they sponsor Zuni, their logo can be right in here. They become the heroes. They become the heroes of helping learning grow from a community level for our children and our youth in this direction. And then that can take over the sustaining it, the 3 years and beyond. And if we end up making more money than we need, we can put some of that back in scholarship funds to help give back to education. So, circling back to the beginning, here we are, opening the floodgates to learning. And you can see, what does the impact have? When you do that, you ignite a learning movement. It's revolutionary to put resources at the fingertips of students and children right from the get-go. And they have the access 24/7 is new. So maybe Einstein will be happy with us, and by doing something different, maybe we'll see those different results that we've all been looking for. Okay, CJ, so that's the gist of it. And let me know what you think.